Just play the damn thing.
Wow, okay. Earlier this week I posted a video about gear that makes no sense, and not the response, both the the number of people watched that video and took the time to comment on it was was a lot of people, and a much needed boost for the channel. And I thought I would take this opportunity to respond to some of your comments on that video. So let's read some comments, shall we? Watch when Mike Fuller reopens Fulltone and relaunches all of the same pedals that everyone's getting gouged on. Rumor has it that it will happen this year. I would really like to know what your source for that rumor is, because I haven't heard that at all. Not only have I not heard that, but being in the industry, I have heard that there are other companies who I'm not going to name here because I'm not sure that I'm supposed to be privy to this information. But there are other companies out there that are very interested in purchasing the Fulltone name and all the rights to it, including the designs of the pedals. So if Fulltone does get relaunched, it's not going to be under the same ownership. Now, how far along are those discussions? I don't know. We're in mid-July now as I record this. This is obviously the back half of the year. If it happens between now and the end of the year, then there's still plenty of time for it to happen, I suppose. But those kinds of things take a lot of time. And there's a lot of legal jargon and hoops and shit that got to be jumped through in order for something like that to happen. As an aside, I don't think Mike Fuller is going to get back into the business, just because I think his reputation has been, at this point, unfortunately, is too damaged. His name alone has pretty much become nuclear at this point. And that's really what ran his business into the ground. Unfortunately, and I'm not going to say that what he said was right or wrong. It was very opinionated. But that opinion of his that he shared, and again, I'm not saying that I agree with it or disagree with it. At any rate, what is absolutely true is it pissed off an entire demographic of paying customers for your product, for his product. That's why he ain't around anymore. So if Fulltone does come back, it won't be under the same ownership. That was a fun vid. Not exactly a piece of gear, but guitar maintenance. That stupid guitar workstation that you got to bolt to your floor by StewMac. I don't think it's any more practical than a trusty old workbench. I think I know the one you're talking about. I think that you are actually referring to this workbench here from StewMac. And you're absolutely right. For the home, for the dude that's doing his own setups and pickup swaps and stuff like that at home, it's about as impractical as it gets. But they're not really designed for that either. They're designed for commercial use. They're designed for guitar shops that that work on and set up and repair a lot of guitars. Every single day. There's a guitar, a different guitar laying on that bench pretty much at all times of the day, more often than not. I think StewMac even put up I think they have a YouTube video that they put up about that particular product. And from a retail, from a guitar retail perspective, it's actually really cool. And makes a lot of sense because it's a huge space saver. And the way that they had it set up in the video, it also kind of keeps customers from it's, if you're a guitar tech in a guitar shop, you understand this, because you're constantly having to deal with customers hovering over you while you're working on their guitar or somebody else's guitar. They're constantly doing a lot of this. And some of them are trying to learn something, some of them are trying to prove that they trying to show you that they think they know more than you do. And regardless, it's really distracting. So the way that they had it, the way that StewMac had those things set up in the video was kind of a back behind the counter away from everybody, where there weren't any distractions. And those benches were very much ideal for that. When I was still working in guitar shops, that would have been a really nice thing to have. Good video, Robert. On the topic of Randall, have they ever made an amp that sounded good? Maybe the Satan, but other than that, Randall amps are just not good. I couldn't disagree more. I think Randall make kick-ass amplifiers. I've got two of them sitting right here. I've got my RD20. My earlier videos, all my pedal demos, 90-something% of them all ran through that RD20 head. Because the clean channel on it is phenomenal. It's Mike Fortin designed those amps. And those were just, they're what they are. They're affordable Mike Fortin designs because they're imports. And they sound really good. And the main reason I bought it was for the clean channel, specifically to do pedal demos. I don't use it for that much anymore, but it's still a really good sounding amp. I've gigged with it a couple of times as well. And on top of that, I have sitting here an RM22, which is an old old Bruce Egnater designed amplifier out of their original MTS module series. So, and I've got about three. It's a 2-slot amplifier. So I mean, it can hold 2 preamp modules at once, and I think I've got 3 of them right now that I swap in and out. You can get some different sounds with. They're great, and they sound absolutely amazing. And yes, they have, there's the Satan, which is the Ola England, the old Ola England signature when he still had a deal with Randall. There's the Thrashers, there's all the, a lot of those, the high-end Kirk Hammett stuff. He's been using Randall amps for years. People have all kinds of opinions about Kirk Hammett, but I've never heard his guitar sound terrible. And one of the most notable Randall amp users of all time, of course, being Dimebag Darrell. And he was known for using a lot of their solid state stuff from the 80s, like the Century 100s, the RG 80 ES, the RG 100s. The sound of all of those early Pantera records were all shaped around Randall amplifiers. Randall's a great amp company. I'm a fan. The problem that I have with them right now is I don't know what kind of obstacles that the pandemic has caused them to face, but their prices for whatever reason have more than doubled compared to what they once were, and that is a far higher increase than the most of their competitors. I did a video on that a while back. I don't understand what's going on with the pricing structure, but I've never had any problems with their amplifiers. I think they sound awesome. The Pod line is still very much alive. There's also the Pod Go, and for software, Pod Farm and Mobile Pod. The Pod line is in fact dead and buried. The Pod Go that you mentioned is actually powered by the by the current Helix effects engine, and the 2 software versions, the Pod Farm and the mobile app. Those have been updated constantly since their release. Now, I will take this opportunity to say that I have. While I haven't had a chance to look this up or not, while there are still retailers that do still have plenty of stock left on the old Pot HD Pro X's that I mentioned in my last video, I have been told but have not yet confirmed that Line 6 has actually finally discontinued that model. So just because Line 6 discontinued it doesn't make it obsolete. The pods are great pieces of hardware. I still use a Pod X3 Bean in my humble little studio. It has and continues to deliver fine service and great tones. Discontinued doesn't mean obsolete. Wow, a lot of butthurt Line 6 fanboys here today. You are absolutely right. Discontinued does not, in fact, mean obsolete. However, when you're talking about a product that was released upwards of 20 years ago, has since been discontinued, replaced with updated versions a couple of times, and also, those have also been discontinued, have since been replaced by the short-lived Firehawk series, and then discontinued, have since been bought out by Yamaha, subsequently dumped their entire R&D program in favor of Yamaha's far more advanced engineering, and under said new parent companies, said far more advanced engineering released the far more advanced Helix effects engine that has since gone on to power the entire Line 6 multi-effects product line, and as of this recording, is still among one of the top industry leaders in the guitar multi-effects world 8 years after it was released, a leading multi-effects engine that has since driven the used prices of all the old Pod series multi-effects units down to next to nothing on the used market. That's generally considered obsolete. I'm glad this long overdue list was finally made. Well, thank you for the support. I'm glad you enjoyed the video, and that's kind of the whole point here, the point of this video, the point of this channel, has always been, to kind of present, various things of the industry, from my retail experience in the MI business. It's not that, especially with videos like this one, the purpose here is not to necessarily take a dig at various different pieces of gear, though that, to some degree that's part of it, but really more so what I'm generally poking fun at is the absolute insanity of guitar players. And as a guitar player myself, I am more than qualified to not only identify those things but joke about them. Because again, from the retail perspective, standing on the other side of the counter, some of the shit that you see guitar players do from one day to the next, the shit that guitar players come up to you with, trust me, you see it all. So videos like this, you know, they're certainly primarily meant to be entertaining, but, you know, they're also meant to bring you guys, you know, a little bit of perspective about what things are like from the other side of the counter. That's it. That was the last comment. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this video. I hope you enjoyed it. You know, if you want your comment to be featured here on an episode of, on the next viewer comments episode, leave it down below and cross your fingers. Maybe it'll happen. Adios.